Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our very first AM actual news in the new year 2025. Thank you so much for wishing the Happy New Year, replying to my Happy New Year's all across the socials. And I wish you wholeheartedly a peaceful, healthy, and prosperous happy new year 2025. I hope you have rang into the new year with your family, alone, with your loved ones, whatever floats your boat, but you did it just the way you wished. And I hope you started your new year on a high note. Or maybe you were off yesterday. Many people were. So happy new year. Thank you so much for joining me. Happy New Year, Callie. Yes, Happy New Year. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have a lot of news to get through, so let's begin right away. Our time is today limited to 45 minutes because I have a thing to go to. But first thing I wanted to announce is that over this weekend on Sunday, I will be interviewing somebody very special who well, he represents Pentagon, but he also worked with the Ukrainian army, who will update us on the situation in Ukraine at the battlefield, on the battlefield. Also, he will tell us what will happen next if the aid to Ukraine were to be cut off. How long will this take? Will Ukraine stand? What can they rely on? He will also tell us about drones. He is a war drone expert, very recognized expert. And so he just gave interviews on BBC and other networks. And we had a fabulous pre-conversation, and so a lot of things to get to. On Sunday we will be recording it, and he will also tell us about New York and New Jersey drones, or the drones over New York and New Jersey. What did happen? It's not airplanes, as much as I can tell you. It is connected to many factors, including China, and he will tell us all and show us the maps and the receipts and all this type of stuff. So I really don't want you to miss it. I will recording it on Sunday. I'm traveling on Tuesday, so we'll have to, release it as soon as possible, and I will update you on Sunday when this will be. But this will be in the upcoming week, either Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'll release the interview somewhat in the evening because we're meeting for AM Actual News here. Then you have your newsletter and podcast at 5 p.m. Eastern, and then the interview. So please don't miss it. It's very, very interesting for anybody in Ukraine or who is interested about Ukraine. Also, we're going to talk about national security. And what did Ukraine do for U.S. national security? What have we learned from the war? He himself has been fighting for Ukraine for a period of time in eastern Ukraine and Kharkiv region, where I was born. So it's very near and dear to my heart. We're going to discuss everything that he knows. And I can tell you that he showed me the exact real-time tracking as to what type of military aid is where and where it's going, just like right this second. Pentagon related sources. And it's incredible how much Russia actually has and receives. So the news really downplays it. So we'll have to discuss it. And good morning, Bonnie. Good morning. Happy New Year. Good morning, Alexander. Good morning and Happy New Year. Yes, cheers. Exactly. This time, coffee cheers. Thank you. And Alexander brought a great point last time on this broadcast, and also on YouTube. Do you guys consume news on Telegram? Please comment. If you do, comment Telegram. And I have a channel there. I just never post because I kind of think it's more like if you post in Ukrainian or Russian. But if you do consume, let me know. For me, it's just copy paste. I already do the same thing on X and Blue Sky. So let's get to the actual news. We have breaking news. Bashar al-Assad has been poisoned in Moscow. He has started coughing, having issues to breathe. Novichok is working. My question is, Russians took some time, I guess, to take away all his assets. And that's why, the divorce that his wife filed for was never a thing where I assumed that she's, not loving him or wants to separate. Well, she probably, her and the kids, wanted to physically escape and also protect their assets in the UK as well as UAE. They were prohibited to do so. He is an intensive care unit. since an hour. The poisoning was about 10 hours ago. So that's the latest. Bashar al-Assad is in ICU, poisoned in Moscow. Of course, Moscow will say that this were, ISIS or somebody else, but we know the drill, right? I guess he was not standing near the windows very often. Now, as to President Biden, today in the afternoon, the president will return, or he's actually now returning from Camp David to the White House. And he will deliver remarks in the afternoon on securing 235 judicial nominations. Trump did 234, so this is historic, and he will recognize this achievement. Then in the evening, the president will deliver remarks at Presidential Citizens Medal ceremony. And this is interesting here. So former Representative Liz Cheney will be awarded the Presidential Citizens Medal by President Joe Biden, recognizing her exceptional service, particularly for her role as vice chair of the House committee investigating the January 6 Capitol attack. Cheney, who broke with the Republican Party over her criticism of President-elect Trump, joins 19 other honorees, including Congressman Benny Thompson and legal advocates like Mary Bonato and Evan Wolfson. The medal, one of the nation's highest civilian honors, is given to individuals who have made significant contributions to their country or fellow citizens. Biden is also reportedly considering a preemptive pardon for Cheney ahead of Trump's inauguration, following calls for her investigation by Trump supporters. So all of this will come through this week. Tomorrow, President Biden will also award military members with medals. This will continue throughout the end of the week. It's literally ceremony after ceremony. The president will then, of course, attend the funeral services for late President Carter. I will be also in DC. This will be January 9th. And yes, President will travel then to Rome. I cannot disclose the details because they tell us not to, but the trip is not canceled. He will be meeting Giorgia Meloni, thanking her for leading G7. Now Canada is at the helm of G7 and they're leading it. And he will also meet the Pope in Vatican. So this will be a sort of like a 3-4 day trip. Now, as to other news, of course, there was an attack in New Orleans. Shamsuddin Jabbar, the 42-year-old Texan man, or Texas man, accused of crashing a truck into New Year's Day revelers in New Orleans, killing 15, injuring dozens of people. Reportedly, it's about 30 people. He served in U.S. Army for 13 years, including a deployment to Afghanistan, the Army said. So Jabbar served in the Army actually 8 years, working as human resource specialist and an information technology specialist. He deployed to Afghanistan once. Jabbar lived north of Houston in Muslim neighborhood, and access was mostly blocked off yesterday since FBI is investigating the case and searching the area. The husband of Jabbar's ex-wife said Jabbar had been acting erratically in recent months. It's still not clear how Jabbar became involved with ISIS, and authorities are investigating whether he acted alone. So President Biden addressed the nation yesterday. Here's what he said. Let's take a look. Here we go.
Good evening. I know I can speak for all Americans when I say our hearts are with the people of New Orleans after the despicable attack that occurred in the early morning hours. To all the families of those who were killed, to all those who are injured, to all the people of New Orleans who are grieving today, I want you to know I grieve with you. Our nation grieves with you. We're going to stand with you as you mourn and as you heal in the weeks to come. I want to thank our brave first responders and law enforcement personnel who stopped the attacker in his tracks before he could kill or injure even more people. And I want to thank you to everyone at the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, including the FBI, for working nonstop to investigate this heinous act. The FBI is leading the investigation to determine what happened, why it happened, whether there was any continuing threat to public safety. Here's what we know so far. The FBI has reported to me the killer was an American citizen, born in Texas. He served in the United States Army on active duty for many years. He also served in the Army Reserve until a few years ago. The FBI also reported to me that mere hours before the attack, he posted videos on social media indicating that he was inspired by ISIS, expressing a desire to kill. The ISIS flag was found in his vehicle, which he rented to conduct this attack. Possible explosives were found in the vehicle as well, and more explosives were found nearby. The situation is very fluid, and the investigation has a preliminary stage.
He also mentioned the attack, the explosion of Tesla near Trump Tower or Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas, and said that the FBI is investigating now whether those two incidents are related. Alexander said if Assad's case announced by Moscow, it wasn't announced by Moscow, it was announced by a Telegram channel from a former Russian intelligence officer who lives in London, who is detached, according to him and sources that from Moscow. And he said that in his system they found poison. I actually have this here. They found Assad's condition reportedly stabilized after receiving treatment in medical ward set up in his Moscow residence. Investigation supposedly underway. There is every reason to believe an assassination attempt was made. They found traces of toxic substances in Assad's system. So it looks like a Novichok. But again, we'll see. This was reported by London first, and hence the Sun broke the news first. So it wasn't really Russian sources. Good morning, Rosemary. Good morning. Happy New Year. As to Russia and RT channels, they actually deny it. They say it's a lie. So indicates that there might be something to it. Now, before we talk about the Tesla exploding, mega channels on Twitter went overnight silent over New Year's night. So a bunch of channels that are actually very prominent in the MAGA world were all silenced, suspended on Twitter, since they were really asking into this H-1B visa situation. We talked about it, when was it? On Tuesday. So check out our live stream on that. And I explained it in detail. So again, Musk is cleansing the territory. He was also, I have a readout on that into his investigation of Twitter, of the purchase of Twitter. Now, as to a Tesla truck exploding, these pictures went viral, sort of like signifying the beginning of 2025. Iconic pictures of Tesla burning in front of Trump Tower. So one person was killed and at least 7 people were injured after a Tesla Cybertruck exploded and caught fire outside of the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas on Wednesday morning, the authorities said. Meanwhile, there's a video of the explosion, so take a look.
All right, play it. Copy.
So Musk said that Tesla is investigating the incident. He said, oh, somebody put some fireworks into Tesla, then bombs. Then Musk fan base started saying, oh, they chose their own vehicle for that. Look how Tesla didn't even burn. That just shows how Tesla, is built for war and all that kind of stuff. The person died in it. Come on now. And 7 people got injured. At least 7 people. So, in the newspapers reported as to, is this the symbol of 2025? Kind of looks like it. We came into 2025, we rang into 2025 with sort of a bang, not the bang that we anticipated. Meanwhile, at Mar-a-Lago, Trump hosted a ball, and that's where, of course, he was seated next to Musk, and that's how they danced. 4 seconds is enough. They also had some entertainment where Trump's daughter-in-law, who's Laura Trump, right, who was the vice president or whatever of the RNC, or head of RNC, since then, she suspended herself from RNC, trying to run for Senate, was not appointed by DeSantis. Now remains to be seen where she will end up, but she was sort of serving entertainment at Mar-a-Lago over the New Year's night. Take a look. Who needs Beyonce when you have Laura Trump? Eric Trump, her husband, tweeted that a mysterious electric vehicle exploded near Trump Tower. And we all replied, Eric, which vehicle? Why don't you, state it in the open? Let's check your comments real quick. Ricardo, good morning. Happy New Year. Thank you for reporting the news about Bashar al-Assad and showing the Biden comments about the New Orleans attack. Thank you. You guys made my day. Thank you so much. All I have to do is rush to a dentist afterwards. Okay. So, now other shooting, 11:30-ish at 11:15 actually p.m. Eastern, NYPD. New York Police Department was searching for multiple suspects following a shooting outside the Amazura. They call it nightclub. It's not a nightclub. It's a concert hall in Jamaica, Queens on Wednesday night. So around 11:15 p.m., 4 men approached a group of 15 people waiting outside the venue, opened fire, injuring 10 individuals, including 6 women and 4 men. The suspects, who fired over 30 rounds, fled the scene and were later seen driving away in light-colored sedan with out-of-state plates. The victims sustained non-life-threatening injuries and are expected to recover. The motive behind the attack remains unclear as police continue their investigation. I can tell you that Jamaica, Queens is very close to JFK Airport. It's not a very safe area. I'm not sure about Amazura or whatever the name is of this venue. I've never been there. But as I am from New York, I can tell you that Jamaica, Queens is just not the safest neighborhood there, which does not excuse this guy of firing 30 shots. We'll have to see. NYPD for now states it's not an act of terrorism, nor it's related to New Orleans or the Tesla explosion. Meanwhile, a large fireworks accident in Honolulu on New Year's Eve left 3 people dead and injured dozens, NBC News reported. In other short news, President-elect Trump said he will attend this next week's state funeral for Jimmy Carter, although he said it's not going to be all about him. Why would he do it? The former U.S. president, who died on Sunday at the age of 100, and he predicted that only House Speaker Mike Johnson could win the vote for the House's top job. I don't know how he puts that in one sentence. Jimmy Carter's funeral and House Speaker being elected. Of course, he's headed to Washington, D.C. On Friday's the vote. He wants Johnson to be remaining the House Speaker, so let's see how this works out. But then he will stay until the 9th, or at least go back and forth and attend the state funeral. Now, Musk is facing ongoing federal investigations. In the final days of Biden administration, the SEC demanded Musk to settle over alleged securities violations during his 2022 Twitter acquisition or face civil charges. Musk has long criticized government oversight, portraying himself as a victim of political harassment. With Donald Trump's impending return to White House, Musk's business empire, which includes Tesla, SpaceX, and Neuralink, faces numerous ongoing federal probes, including investigations into Tesla's autopilot system, SpaceX pollution violations, and Neuralink's animal welfare practices. Well, all the animals died. It's not accusations, it's fact. Musk's close ties with Trump, whom he has supported both financially and publicly, raised questions about the future of these investigations. By the way, how Musk reacted, he called the investigator by the first name, or the head of SEC, and he said, Gary, do you love me so much? Why are you hitting on me, Gary? How long are you remaining on this job, Gary? And very interestingly, off the record, I was wondering when are we going to have the NSC, National Security Council, gaggle, because I'm in this thing, I'm covering it. And that's usually where John Kirby speaks and Sullivan and all that. And I'm going to their website because sometimes White House system is shaky and then you have to resubscribe to get the Zoom invite. So I'm going to the website. All websites are suspended. All White House websites for press and media are suspended. Whether it is Press Pool, I'm in it, so I'm getting my updates. But if you were to be willing to join now, you can't. Only VP Pool is not suspended. Everything else is suspended, including national security. And the updated version of National Security Council, which I think is related to the Trump's team, it says if you want to subscribe to cover the National Security Council from the 20th on, you have to submit the following. It doesn't say reach, which is usually the term for publications, newsletters, yada, yada. Submit your following on social media, submit the articles, submit your angles to national security, and your points of view and that stuff. And we will review it. And if we see it as appropriate, we will grant you accreditation. So much to freedom of information, press, and whatnot. So how does national security information connect to your following, your angles? Fascism. Anyway, let's move on. Bonnie says Musk needs to be deported, period. Investigated. It's all allegedly, right? But investigated. Wow, just exactly right. This was this morning. I'm like, whoa, that is new. That is very new. Okay, the U.S. Commerce Department announced it is considering new regulations that could restrict or ban Chinese drones due to national security concerns. What did I tell you? That we're going to give the expert, right? The Sunday, I'm talking to the expert, the drones over New Jersey, New York. I just told you it's connected to China. You're going to get the deets. You're going to get the details. You're going to get the talk about the nuclear activities. You're going to get the drones. You're going to get the maps, how they've flown. You're going to get the talk about the mothership that's dispatched them. You're going to get the information on how much Chinese bought of those. You're going to get all of it. Okay. I let him speak. I'm not an expert. He is. Now, the proposed rules, which would impact drones with Chinese and Russian components, aim to protect U.S. data from potential foreign threats. China, particularly the drone giant DJI, controls a significant portion of U.S. drone market. This follows a series of actions, including legislation signed by President Biden that could prevent DJI and Autel Robotics from selling new models in the U.S. by 2024, unless their security risks are deemed acceptable. DJI has strongly opposed the claims, citing financial harms and denying any links to forced labor or military cooperation. President-elect Trump prepares to take office. The decision on these new drone rules will be made under his administration. Now, the U.S. Treasury Department Sanctions Office was hacked yesterday by Chinese state-sponsored hackers. According to Washington Post, they broke the news first. They cited unnamed officials. It was proven to be true. The department revealed earlier this week in a letter to lawmakers that the breach resulted in the theft of documents, calling it a major incident. Recall that Treasury has put sanctions on China and Chinese actors, especially when it comes to security breach, the telecom data, the health insurance data, and all that kind of stuff. Good morning, Chanetta. Morning. Happy New Year to all. Happy New Year. Good morning. All right. Now, PJM. Remember on Tuesday, we talked about Governor Shapiro, Pennsylvania's Governor Shapiro, talking about the electricity bills going up $20.4 billion for 3 states. And he called for, to stop it. And how can you explain that to be the next feasible step, as nothing is improved for the end consumer? So PJM Interconnection, that's the company, addressed a complaint from Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro regarding potential power shortages linked to rapid data center expansion. Shapiro had urged changes to market rules to avoid surges in electricity costs. PJM warned that the growing risk of power shortages is driven by premature retirements of power generators and rapid construction of data centers. In response, PJM has proposed lowering market price caps and accelerating the integration of new power generation projects to alleviate high demand issues. Serving nearly 65 million people, PJM has faced increasing scrutiny over announcing record high payments to power plants following its recent capacity auction. So please tell me it's not related to AI and AI needing way more power than we're actually able to generate safely. Nippon Steel. Remember, they want to buy US steel. President Biden is opposing it. Nippon Steel extended the period of consideration for Biden. Now they're coming in with the next proposition. Japan's Nippon Steel has proposed granting the US government veto power over any future cuts to US Steel's production capacity as part of its efforts to gain approval for acquiring the American steelmaker. The proposal was submitted to Committee on Foreign Investment in the U.S., which referred to decision to President Joe Biden, who must decide by January 7th. If Biden does not act, the merger will be automatically approved. Nippon Steel has pledged a 10-year commitment to maintain production levels at the U.S. Steel's domestic mills unless a Treasury-led review panel approves cuts. Both companies have yet to comment on the proposal, so we'll have to see. Also, January 6th, the certification of results. Let's wait. I'm not going to put any conspiracy theories here. VP Harris is returning today from LA. There's some sanctions. I'll have a readout on that, on Iran and Russia for election interference. Yes, Trump posted a tweet. If you read between the lines there, he's nervous about January 6th. Let's see again what will happen. This is actual news. This is not actual feelings. So let's see. Now, U.S. Military Appeals Court has ruled the plea deals for Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the alleged mastermind of September 11th, 2001 attacks, and two accomplices can proceed despite Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin's attempt to invalidate them. So they pled guilty and they said, put us in prison for life, just don't kill us. In simple terms, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin wanted them to be executed, which was approved, and now somehow it is Mohammed is held at Guantanamo Bay. He's accused of orchestrating 9/11 attacks, which killed nearly 3,000 people in New York. The ruling follows ongoing human rights criticism of Guantanamo Bay, where detainees, including Mohammed, have faced allegations of torture. In a separate development, Pentagon announced the repatriation of another guy to Tunisia. So we'll see. It is very much connected to criticism against Guantanamo Bay. I have been invited, I think, 4 times to fly to Guantanamo Bay to report on it. Not really my thing, but maybe we will. And Nella, good morning. Good morning. Happy New Year. It's a busy news day already. Thanks for the updates. Thank you for watching. You guys make my day. Yay. Okay. So I'm boring, so this is exciting. Now, skis at Park City, the largest U.S. ski resort, faced long lift lines and some trail closures on Tuesday as a strike by nearly 200 ski patrol workers entered its 5th day. So I'll imagine you spend a fortune, you go for a ski holiday over New Year's, and then you have a strike. The workers employed by Vail Resorts are demanding a wage increase from $21 to $23 per hour. Maybe they should get just the increase. You're just going to let everybody who paid those bills suffer. Despite the strike, the resort remained open, though staffing was reduced from the usual 120 patrol workers to 35. The strike coincides with the busiest week of the ski season. Vail Resorts, which operates Park City and several other major ski resorts, claim to have met most of the union's demands, but did not disclose specific details on unresolved issues. So if it's 120 people and they want $3 raise, so it's about less than $500 situation a month. Okay. So federal authorities unsealed an indictment against U.S. Army soldier Cameron John Wigenius, arrested on December 20th for selling and attempting to sell stolen confidential phone records. Now, this is a major thing, by the way, and this is very much connected to China and Turkey and Trump. Remember, there was one guy who transferred to Trump $18 million, a Chinese spy. Yep. So, Wigenius, allegedly operating online under allies Khyber Phantom, claimed involvement in multiple hacks, including access to phone records of VP Harris and President-elect Trump. Wigenius is linked to a hacking group connected to extensive data breaches involving sensitive personal and financial information. The case is being prosecuted in Seattle alongside cases against Connor Muka, arrested in Canada, and John Binns, detained in Turkey for similar cybercrimes targeting Snowflake customers. Cybersecurity experts attributed this Wojcicki's identification to swift law enforcement actions after Muka's group made threats against researchers. The DOJ and FBI have not commented yet. Now, Netanyahu, who got his prostate removed, he had a UTI, and somehow the way to solve it was to remove prostate. I don't know. It's like you have a headache and we're going to just chop your head off for the headache. Not sure what the deal was, but two things. He did postpone his deposition in his alleged corruption case. The court agreed. Of course, Netanyahu had to go to the hospital. What you going to do? Depose him at the hospital? He then was recovering in the bunker. It was said that he will be recovering for a week. A day after surgery, he reemerged because he faced issues with the budget that was tricky to pass, when still is tricky to pass. So Israeli PM Netanyahu left his hospital bed against medical advice to rally support for his government's contentious 2025 budget. The wartime austerity bill, featuring tax hikes and spending cuts, narrowly passed an initial vote despite opposition from coalition partners, including far-right Public Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir and ultra-Orthodox parties. Gvir demands increased police funding, while ultra-Orthodox groups oppose measures mandating military enlistment for their members. Netanyahu urged unity, warning against endangering his coalition, the most far-right in Israel's history. So the budget will have to be approved, expected to be approved in January. Failure to pass the budget by March 31st would trigger new elections. So he reemerges from the bunker to talk about the budget. Musk does need to be deported. Yeah, well, Rosie Marie agrees with Bonnie. I guess it's a conversation. Okay. Now, former Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. That's the guy who worked very close with Joe Biden. And that's the guy who opposed Netanyahu's ideas of taking over Gaza completely. For that, he was fired, ultimately. So he has announced on Wednesday that he was resigning from Knesset. So he's quitting politics, essentially. Gallant had been fired by Netanyahu in November following disagreements over the war against Hamas, but retained his parliamentary seat. In a televised statement, Gallant explained that, like on the battlefield, there are times in public service when one must stop, assess, and choose a new direction. So he is choosing this new direction for him this year. Now, Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser, she went to Mar-a-Lago quickly before New Year's Eve to kiss the ring and pledge allegiance to Trump, even though she was very much in conflict with him over the Black Lives Matter plaza that she installed next to the White House. He was opposing the protests. He wanted, remember, reportedly to shoot the protesters in the knees. Then he posed with the upside down Bible. So she was very much against it. Now she wants to improve the city's life, and she flew to Mar-a-Lago. She had a 45-minute meeting held at Bowser's request, focused on shared priorities, including federal workforce support, infrastructure, underutilized federal buildings, and green spaces. Bowser, three-term Democrat, highlighted their mutual desire to make Washington, quote, the best, most beautiful city in the world, unquote. Trump, who has often criticized Bowser's leadership and the city's management, did not comment on the discussion. Rosie is, I'm sick of people obeying in advance. Right. And I guess she wants to stay in power, right? Because she's as powerful as not just a mayor, but a governor type of thing. She has the same rights, right, or powers. Now, Putin delivered a New Year's address, of course, in front of a Kremlin clock. You can put it side by side every year. And every year he says the same thing. We're the strongest nation. We are fantastic. We're doing wonderful on the yard. Now, in his New Year's address, Putin expressed confidence in the country's future, emphasizing unity and resilience despite economic challenges and the ongoing war in Ukraine. Putin reassured citizens that their well-being remains a priority, but offered no specific plans to address rising prices or the central bank's 21% interest rate. which is impacting businesses and homeowners. Marking 25 years since his first presidential address, he paid tribute to Russian soldiers in Ukraine, praising their bravery, while avoiding details on battlefield developments or prospects for peace. In 2024, Russia made gains in Ukraine, but at significant cost, while also facing Ukraine's first ever incursion into its western Kursk region, where they lost 10,000 people. They also lost, they're losing, well, rumors are 2,000 people a day. But again, let's prove that to be true. But altogether, they're losing at least 1,000 a day, and they lost 1,000 of North Koreans already, just trying to push Ukrainians out of their own territory, which is Kursk. So he said he has one regret, though, that he did not invade Ukraine earlier. It's like, but now we would have gotten rid of neo-Nazis, as he calls Ukrainians. Now, the U.S. military conducted airstrikes on Houthi-controlled facilities on December 30th and 31st. According to U.S. Central Command, the strikes targeted Houthi command center and facilities used for producing and storing advanced conventional weapons, including missiles and drones. Those are also storages that are used for the missiles sent to Russia. So in this case, positive development. Nobody was hurt on the American side. Now, U.S. imposed sanctions on Iran and Russian entities for 2024 presidential election interference. And key points are, first, Iran's involvement. The Cognitive Design Production Center, a part of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, conducted influence operations aimed at inciting tensions among U.S. electorate, and Iranian cyber actors were previously designated for compromising accounts tied to 2024 presidential campaign and engaging in disinformation. As to Russians, Moscow-based Center for Geopolitical Expertise, affiliated with the Russian GRU, right, the Russian Main Intelligence Directorate, utilized generative AI tools to create and distribute disinformation targeting the U.S. electorate. CGE also manipulated videos and disseminated fake news to sow discord in the U.S. election, supported financially by the GRU, so Moscow. Kremlin, to be exact. And so sanction details are designated entities and individuals face blocked property and interests in the U.S. U.S. persons and entities are prohibited from engaging in transactions with designated parties, and non-U.S. persons risk sanctions for facilitating activities to violate U.S. sanctions. So again, remains to be seen. It's not overturning the results. I know people took it without a grain of salt and tried to blow it into, oh my God, nothing will be verified. It has nothing to do with Trump's results or presidential election results to be verified on January 6th. Remains to be seen. Again, let's stick to actual news. We have wishes and feelings, but step by step, we're going to get there. 6th is not as far. Today is already 2nd, so let's see. Also, U.S. Department of Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control has sanctioned Russian judge for her role in detention of Moscow City consular and human rights defender Alexei Gorinov. The judge sentenced Gorinov to 7 years in prison in 2022 for opposing Russia's war against Ukraine and calling for a moment of silence for the war's victims. Naturally, the judge has property in the U.S., has visa into U.S., probably has a couple of kids studying here, which is not mentioned. Anyway, Gorinov is in ill health. Mendeleyeva, that's the judge, refused to grant him medical treatment and ignored defense witnesses during his trial. And so U.S. has imposed sanctions on her personally. Now, Gazprom, this is the end of an era. Ukraine has stopped being the country that facilitates Russia's business in selling gas to nations like Slovakia and Czech Republic. So Russia's energy giant Gazprom announced the cessation of gas exports to Europe via Ukraine starting from 8 a.m. Moscow time on Wednesday, yesterday, following the expiration of 5-year transit agreement. Really an end of an era. The shutdown ends a decade of complex relations between Russia and Europe, worsened by 2014 annexation of Crimea, while Russia continues gas exports through the Turk Stream pipeline under the Black Sea. the European Union has been seeking alternative energy sources since the start of Ukraine conflict in 2022. Gazprom stated that Ukraine's refusal to renew the deal left it unable to continue transit via territory from January 1st, 2025. So, a big problem for Slovakia, not much of a problem for others because they can't use the Turk Stream. But that is what, for instance, Germany was so afraid of, right? And they used this 2 years to sort of detach their reliance on Russia gas-wise. And yeah, obviously everybody knew that the 5-year deal will expire and when. So Zelensky delivered an address where he declared that peace would not be granted to Ukraine as a gift, but that the country would continue its fight to stop Russia's ongoing invasion. Emphasizing the need for a strong Ukraine, Zelensky expressed confidence in U.S. support, highlighting conversations with outgoing President Biden and President-elect Trump. He stressed that only through strength could Ukraine secure peace and global respect. It was a 21-minute video, very produced, heartfelt. He also spoke to the families of the victims to say that they have not perished, they're with us, and they have sacrificed their lives in the for Ukraine's win, and that will follow. What I personally didn't like, again, this is my opinion, he very much downgraded the Biden administration's efforts, because we can always judge if somebody did not enough, right, or could have done more, whatever. This is a story for our interview with a drone expert, because we're going to talk about that too. Other story is Ukraine is still existing because of Biden. Let's call a thing a thing. Because Biden fought with the Congress and delivered aid. That is why we're still talking about fight. That is why we're still talking about potential peace talks. That's why nobody surrendered. That's why Ukraine is not one large concentration camp and is facing ethnic cleansing. Now, Ukrainians are so brainwashed, and over the holidays, naturally you speak with family, distant family, everybody's, Happy New Year, all that stuff. And people are like, oh my God, it's 19 days more, and then Trump will come and save us all. What the hell are you talking about? Biden just gave you $6 billion. Did you know that? Well, they don't report on that, but they did this entire propaganda thing on on December 31st, alleging that Trump will be speaking with Putin and ending the war. And this was like a big hoopla at in Ukraine. Like, oh my God, we're waiting. And all these bloggers and armchair, experts, everybody was like, oh my God, he's going to speak. And at 9 p.m., they revealed that somehow the talks have failed. It's a bunch of bullshit. Nobody was set to speak. It was just propaganda piece to encourage. And then our relatives, I'm from Ukraine, started calling, and oh my God, the talks have failed, but Trump will save us all. Like, where are you? What are you listening to? It's horrible, very horrible. Meanwhile, Biden is getting the aid out, literal aid, as much as possible. He also instructed Pentagon to get any old equipment, just to ship it to Ukraine as fast as possible, because Trump will stop the aid. I mean, NATO is Trump-proofing, as they say, the aid. So the upcoming Ramstein meeting will be to allocate actually money for Ukraine through NATO, so Trump cannot cancel it out. And we're going to talk about that with the expert in an interview. So now, Russia struck Ukraine with 111 drones on New Year's night, hitting also Central Bank of Ukraine on Bankova Street, which is the heart of Kiev. It's where Zelensky's office is. He's obviously not sitting in the office, he's in a bunker, but they hit right next to the office. They hit the central bank to show that we're coming close to you. So it's more psychological than anything, but people got hurt and people passed. So not as lighthearted or funny in any way. Russia launched a drone strike on Ukraine's capital, Kiev, on Wednesday, killing 1 person and injuring 6 people. The attack caused significant damage to buildings in 2 districts, including a residential block where 2 floors were partially destroyed. They also targeted southern Ukraine, on New Year's night with 111 drones. Now, Romania and Bulgaria now officially became full members of European Union Schengen free travel area on Wednesday. Now, European Union is an economic union as much as NATO is defense alliance or defense alliance. Schengen area is a travel-free zone or free travel zone, meaning we're uniting. If let's say I would need a visa for Italy, that means if I get my visa for Italy, I can travel throughout Schengen area, meaning France and Poland and Germany and whatnot. UK was never part of it. Now Ukrainians have free travel. They don't need visas for European Union, but need visas for UK, for instance. For us here, we don't need visas for anything. We need to register now with this new ETA for UK, right? For £10 online, you have to register before you leave. By the way, if you're traveling to UK, do that. Babies even need it and infants, and you can apply for all family. That's I know. Now, but the Schengen area, which pretty much was used by migrants, right? People would use a country that is easier to get a visa in to travel to another country. Very much used by Eastern Europeans. For instance, it's easier to get a visa for, let's say Germany, but you actually want to go to Paris. So it's like, it's a thing. So for this reason now, Romania and Bulgaria are officially part of Schengen area. So they have free travel, but also they can travel now for work. For instance, if you live at the border of a country where you have better employment opportunities, you can now be legally doing so. So this is a big deal in this regard. There are 25 EU member states and facilitating passport-free travel. The symbolic moment was marked by fireworks at the Friendship Bridge on the Danube river, where the interior ministers of both countries raised the barrier just after midnight. So now Romania and Bulgaria are, so to speak, united travel-wise and work-wise. Now, the Schengen area, first established in 1985, now includes most EU nations, along with Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway, and Switzerland. Ireland and Cyprus remain outside the zone. Now, Kim Jong-un delivered, he delivered a love letter to Putin first, but then he did celebrate New Year's with his daughter, Ju Ye. They participated in New Year's celebrations, which included fireworks and an ice dancing display. Senior officials were also present at the event, although Kim did not deliver a speech. On the preceding day, the president, KCNA, that their state television, reported that Kim had sent a letter to Russian President Putin reaffirming North Korea's commitment to strengthening its comprehensive strategic partnership with Russia. Now, Iran and 3 European countries, Britain, France, Germany, will resume nuclear talks on January 13th in Geneva, according to Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister. These discussions follow a contentious November 2024 meeting after Tehran expressed anger over European-backed resolution criticizing its cooperation with the UN nuclear watchdog. In response, Iran announced plans to install more uranium-enriching centrifuges. UN nuclear watchdog chief Rafael Grossi warned in December that Iran is rapidly increasing uranium enrichment, nearing levels suitable for weapons. Since the US withdrew from 2015 deal in 2018, Iran has escalated its nuclear activities, including enriching uranium and installing advanced equipment. So again, all of that went down under Trump. Iran, if you listen to their leader, he delivered New Year's speech, and I was listening to it with translation. And he said that this is the year we will declare ourselves as a nuclear power. As much as when I listened to the Xi Jinping speech, and he said this is the year for reunification with Taiwan. Let's see. All of those speeches are aiming to Trump, right? You have big mouth, you're a big guy. Okay. Now stand for it. So whatever he blabbers, people listen to. International leaders listen to. Dictators whom he admires and wants to be alike listen to. So it will become to the time to face the music. And Puerto Rico, of course, experienced massive outage, leaving approximately 90% of the island without electricity. This happened at 9:30 a.m. when was that? On Tuesday. It's believed to have been caused by an issue with an underground line, according to energy distribution company Luma Energy. Then it was restored. Now the grid collapsed. This is as recent as last night. Quickly to get through, China's public security minister has pledged to enhance international cooperation in drug control efforts. This is pretty much a big achievement for Biden administration and President Biden himself. He met with Xi several times. The talk is about fentanyl and fentanyl-related drugs pouring over the border. Xi said, well, you have to address domestic demand for narcotics in the U.S., which Biden said we are doing. The narcotics demand has decreased, hence the number of illegal entries has decreased as well. It is also connected to the Mexican border. So altogether, this is Biden's achievement. Now, Xi has expressed a willingness to deal with the U.S. in that regard continuously. So let's see how Trump's administration will handle it. Now, senior aides to South Korea's impeached president Yoon Suk Yeol offered to resign massively on Wednesday, following a controversy over acting President Choi Sang-mok's approval of 2 new judges for the court handling Yoon's impeachment. Yoon's chief of staff, policy chief, national security advisor, and other senior officials submitted their resignations, but Choi announced he would not accept them, focusing instead on stabilizing the economy and the government. The resignations followed the aides' repeated offers to step down after Yoon's failed martial law attempt in December. The latest resignation offer coincided with Choi's controversial approval of 2 new Constitutional Court justices. Now, South Korea's impeached president Yoon Suk Yeol told supporters as recent as this morning in a letter that he will fight until the end as he faces an attempt by authorities to arrest him over his short-lived imposition of martial law last month, a lawyer said on Thursday. Now, Asia, Asia Factory. Okay, I put that in a newsletter. So please check. Ooh, removed everything from my screen. Okay, I'm back. So other news, domestic, local. I moved the newsletter to our website, to our actual home, honestnetwork.com. The website existed for a long time. I do love Substack, but they partner with a company fully sponsored by Peter Thiel. I don't want Peter Thiel to have your emails. I don't want them to profit off of any payments. I don't want to support that in any way. Also, I don't want to be silenced for that either, because several Substacks have been now compromised. I don't want to be part of it. We do have all the facilitated, ability to have our podcast and newsletter and live streams on the website. So the newsletter has moved. I'm truly asking you right now, open your spam. If you're a subscriber, open your spam and please mark the address media@honestnetwork.com, ONEST network.com as safe. So you will continue receiving your newsletters. Also, they're on the website. This week, you don't have to log in. You can just read them. I have transported all subscriber emails to the website, so everybody is receiving emails this week. As to those who have paid accounts, the $5 a month thing or 50 a year, you will be reminded before expiration of your term. So if you have an annual thing, it will be in almost a year. But if you do have a monthly thing, you'll get an email to put your data in. I never had access, don't have nor will to your any personal information. So you will get this reminder. Now, when you go to honestnetwork.com, ONEST network.com, it says newsletters, go read them. To subscribe for them, it says membership. There's a free one. There's a $5 one. Select what you want. Thank you for supporting me. This is independent journalism. I'm grateful. But you can also have it free. Just sign up, okay? And if you are an existing subscriber through Substack, please check your spam and mark media@honestnetwork.com as safe. Okay, to finish on a good note, real quick, I have 2 videos from New York from the New Year's Eve, and 2 things that are close to my heart. So, the New Year's Eve has the ball, right, that drops. We'll watch it. Well, some people don't, but in New York we do. And it's retiring. It's 17 years old, and it is retiring. So please take a look at the ball. in the story, and where we can actually see him afterwards. I call it him because he has a Twitter account, and I text with him too. So take a look.
I heard this ball is retiring. You're changing the ball. This is the last year for the ball.
Take a good long look. This is the last time this version of the Times Square Newsweek ball will be dropping in Times Square. In 2026, we're going to have a whole new ball, but this ball has been dropping since 2008, 17 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you changed all the crystals last time, and then you're going to change the whole ball for 2026.
Correct. We changed all the crystal triangles out this year with 2 new patterns.
Yes.
Next year, we're going to have a whole new ball, new patterns, new designs. It's going to be amazing.
Is it going to be bigger?
We'll see.
Oh, okay. It's a surprise.
Yeah. Hey, we're still working on 2024 to
I know,
2025.
that's true. Where is the ball going to be at?
It's going to be right downstairs here at One Times Square in the new Times Travel Museum, which is opening in 2025, where you can see a little bit of history and then get an opportunity to come up to the very rooftop to actually interact with the ball.
It's huge. The ball is humongous. I was next to him. It's humongous. Just got the message from media chief of Arlington National Cemetery for the funeral process services for late President Carter. So I'll be there. I'm trying to get interviews with Carter family on the significance of the event. And also, it's very interesting if you go through, I read it out, I think on Monday, the details about the funeral process and services and how he travels to his boy home, to the farm. It's 39 bells, right? It's 39. They shoot 39 times at different facilities because he was the 39th president, but also he wanted to have his final resting place in Plains, Georgia, not Arlington Cemetery, but Arlington Cemetery is still handling the entire process, including the one in Georgia. And so it's very interesting. Not all presidents decide to do so. And he also had very specific instructions with the flags, was Trump. And so very interested to interview them. What else? And I will tell you about the interview when this will premiere, but we're recording on Sunday. If it doesn't have much editing, I might release it on Sunday right away. It's honestly, don't miss it. It's very interesting and was very great talk. So you will get a bunch of information about the drones. Not all of it is peaceful, but it's good to know the truth. And especially as we're getting into new administration where a bunch of it will be just a lie. So it's important to know what's true. Last video for the soul, confetti in Times Square. Did you know they throw confetti by hand? It's really cool. Take a look.
Go confetti, go confetti, go confetti.
This is the 30th year for myself orchestrating this effect. I didn't tell anybody for the first 12 years that we were doing it by hand. I think the primary reason I do it by hand is because I like that it's magic. Creating magic is taking people out of their normal day-to-day existence and for a second giving them something that is emotional, is spectacular, that makes them say, wow. Something that's a little overwhelming. And if you can get a tear in the eye and a lump in the throat, that's all the better.
There was a whole documentary on this confetti. Did you know that it's a Make-A-Wish Foundation? The kids are writing their wishes on this confetti thing. So I had this thing where I would go to Times Square to grab it and like grant a wish type thing. So anyway, we're done for today. I'm going to see you tomorrow for the AM Actual News. We'll be as busy. I'm trying to figure out what else happens with, I guess all our emails are deleted from the Trump administration and the coverage and accreditation. So all we're kind of starting from scratch. I don't want to go to Mar-a-Lago, but let's see how we can get access because it's very early that it all got blocked, so to speak. So let's see. I doubt it. If you ask me, I doubt that Trump will have press pool. That's the feeling that I have. It's not written anywhere in the Constitution. So it's sort of like a rule that started, and it's sort of like not a rule, but it's more a tradition. And I think the last thing he wants is reporters traveling with him. It will be the blonde secretary that types up those tweets in all caps that will be informing us. So honestly think the press poll will be a part of history. Let's see. Let's see. I didn't expect that to start changing so soon, but we'll still have President Biden in office, so that's good. Good for now. All right, we're done. Thank you so much for watching. Expect your newsletter at 5 p.m. Eastern, including the podcast. If you missed out on the podcast, how dare you? Go ahead. Actual News Podcast, available everywhere. Spotify, Apple Podcast, Pandora, iHeartRadio, whatever you listen to, wherever you listen to, it's there. And of course, the newsletters are on honestnetwork.com. There's previous newsletters, 2 recent ones. You can check it there. Also, everything will be, all the newsletters, all the 140 of them will come from the Substack to the website. So it's a copy-paste effort. That is my weekend activity. So it will be there as well. If you're a subscriber through the website, I'm granting you access to Substacks anyway. So you can check on the news too. Now, what's interesting on the website, and I'll record a video with that, when you go to get your newsletters, we have a search box. So let's say you put, I know, Iran sanctions, and all the articles and all the newsletters from months ago will pump up. So if you need it for any research or just for your information or kicks and giggles, you have access to do so. Okay? All right. Thank you so much for watching. Happy New Year. Stay safe, stay sane, and let's be peaceful. Okay? And I see you tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. for the actual news. All right. Have a great day.